Hey, welcome to Earth 2, where superheroes exist and comic book talk is the norm. I'm your host, VitoD. Welcome to the planet.
Welcome to the planet.
I don't know if you can see it, but it's my school shirt. And with the release of Spider-Man Homecoming coming out this week, I figured it'd be a perfect time to just give you a top 5 of some of my favorite Spider-Man reads. So, say like if you are trying to get into Spider-Man, or you enjoyed the movie if you watched it already and you're trying to get into it, or you're trying to look into something different, this list is for you. Some of them, everyone already knows. Spider-Man's one of those characters that everyone already knows the story. Get bit by the radioactive spider, so pretty much none. Minus one will be like an origin story. So pretty much, you don't have to like. Everyone already knows. So without further ado, these are some of my favorite Spider-Man reads. That was a complete mess of things, by the way. But anyway, here we go. So Dan Slott has been writing Spider-Man for what seems like forever, right? And one of the biggest events that he's done is something called Spider Island. So it's widely held as one of the best Spider-Man reads. So it's no surprise that it's actually on my list. Spider Island, pretty much in a nutshell, is Manhattan Island is, closed. It's infested by bed bugs or spiders or something like that. Looks like spiders, they look more like bed bugs. So what they do is they bite people, and then they turn into spiders. They get the Spider-Man, they get the spider abilities, and then they turn into giant spiders, pretty much. So, and it pretty much infests everyone. So Manhattan turns into what's labeled as Spider Island. So random characters, random people on the street, all of a sudden they can just like shoot webs out. They can jump really high, and some heroes actually get spider abilities as well. So you might want to read that. It's fun. It's enjoyable. Peter Parker doesn't have to wear his mask because he uses the excuse, oh, I've just been recently bit, so he can just like go out and right. So that's number one. Go pick that up. So my second pick will be well, if you're anything like me, what you do is that you stop following certain characters and you start following the writers and the artists. So if a particular artist that you like or particular writer that you like picks up a new book, what I do is that I usually pick up that book because whatever that person writes is actually pretty good. So it's no surprise that Jeff Loeb is on this list because he wrote Spider-Man Blue. If you guys don't know who Jeff Loeb is, he has a current theme with Marvel. So he does it with colors. So Spider-Man is blue. Hulk is the Hulk story that he wrote was Hulk gray. Captain America one that he wrote was white. So Captain America white. And so what it is, it's him and Tim Sale, which is pretty much the team that also wrote The Long Halloween and Dark Victory. And if you've ever read Hush, he's the guy that wrote that as well. So what this is, it goes back to his origin, but not fully to his origin. So what it is that it's present day Peter Parker, right? And he's talking to a voice recorder. What he's doing is that Valentine's Day is coming up, and he wants to do an audio letter to Gwen Stacy, right? So what he's doing is that he's talking to her through his voicemail, and then he's telling her, and he's reflecting back on his life and how everything came about, and he's telling the story of how, how when he got his powers and he didn't know better, right? So he pretty much is writing this, and then he closes it out with, "I love you," right? But the whole time Mary Jane is listening, and It's kind of like clickbait right now, but you have to read. You're gonna have to read to see what she says. So that's one of my favorite books. It's deep, and you're like, okay, it opens up a new layer of who Spider-Man and Peter Parker is. So I suggest go pick that up. So up next, we also have a book called Kraven's Last Hunt. So we all know that pretty much Spider-Man's rogues gallery is extremely extensive, right? And they're not all bad, but I mean they're all bad guys, but they're not like all like really bad choices because, in my opinion, Spider-Man's rogues gallery kind of would be the only one that kind of rivals, Batman's, and Batman's has the biggest rogues gallery in all the comics. So this one takes a deeper look into Kraven. If you don't know who Kraven the Hunter is, he's a hunter, pretty much. And what this book is about is that he's depressed. Kraven's depressed. Kraven is just like, you know what? This is my last story. No, this is my last hunt. I'm done. I'm through with this. I'm finally going to catch Spider-Man. So what he does is that he pretty much sets traps and he captures Spider-Man. And to top it all off, he buries Spider-Man alive. So you're going to have to, well, I don't know, I'll probably spoil it for you, but this book is really good because it's really dark and it's really like the tone of it is completely different than what you would imagine. I mean, he shoots Spider-Man in the head. Spider-Man comes out of the grave. I mean, it's really good. So then when Spider-Man comes back and he tries to fight Kraven, why did you shoot me? Why did you bury me alive? Kraven isn't really looking at it because he looks at his what he did as a victory. He was like, okay, well, you know what? I already did what I was supposed to do. I caught Spider-Man, and that's all that matters right now. I'm done. So as Spider-Man's fighting him, he's not fighting back. And instead, what he does is that, he grabs a gun, shoots himself. And as I was reading, I was like, oh, shit. So I know I've kind of probably already spoiled it, but I mean, just talking about it. It's a really good book. I suggest you guys go out and get that. It's Kraven's Last Hunt by J.M. DeMatteis. I know I probably screwed it up, but just J.M. DeMatteis or something like that. So go on and check that out. Next up, we have Spider-Man Back in Black, written by Michael J. Straczynski. So, we all know that Spider-Man wore the black suit, and it was Venom, but what we don't know is that, Spider-Man liked how he looked in that suit, so he pretty much created his own, not the red and blue one, but what he did is that he painted one that was all black. So, I don't know, maybe one day he just wanted to wear that one instead. So this one takes place after Civil War, after he outed himself as, I am Peter Parker. I've been Spider-Man since I was 16, I think he said in Civil War. So, from the jail cell, Kingpin, what he does is that he hires a sharpshooter, not Bullseye, not any other big name villain, but he just hires a random sharpshooter, right, to kill Peter Parker. So what Peter Parker is doing, he's on a run because after the events of Civil War, he's kind of labeled as a fugitive now. So he's going back and forth, and he's hiding. And he's talking to Mary Jane, and he's also talking to Aunt May. And you see the sniper, and he's aiming for it. He shoots. Peter Parker's spider senses go off. He ducks, but he takes down Mary Jane with him. And who does the bullet hit? Hits Aunt May. So she's bleeding out. He's screaming, "No more, no more, no more." He's tired of it, right? And he throws a car from the parking lot all the way to the next building. Right? He takes out the shooter, and what he does is that he grabs Aunt May and he takes her to the hospital. Remember, he can't show up anywhere in public because he's labeled as a fugitive, and they wouldn't help him. So what he does is that he breaks into the hospital, just leaves her on the bed. The doctors are like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And they see a really old lady that's bleeding out on the table. So then they start operating on her, but she falls into a coma. So what she does is that he he pretty much goes back and he does like detective work, where if he uses his spider senses to learn about the scenario and everything. So he goes back and he finds out it was Kingpin this whole time. So he's pretty much, he makes it his mission. He makes it his mission, to go kill Kingpin. So this story also leads into one of the most controversial Spider-Man stories, which is Spider-Man One More Day. Well, no, One Last Wish. I'm sorry, One More Day, something. So, that one is controversial. I kind of like that story, but that's besides the fact. That's not in my top 5 at the moment in this list. So again, going back, go pick that up. It's Spider-Man Back in Black by Michael J. Straczynski. And my last pick for our top 5 is Ultimate Spider-Man, written by Brian Michael Bendis. I'm sorry. So Brian Michael Bendis is the type of writer that, if he's passionate about the character, he does a really, really good, really well-written story, and that's exactly what this is. What the Ultimate Universe wanted to do, what Marvel wanted to do with the Ultimate Universe back in 2000, is that they wanted to revamp their characters while also keeping the same classic characters. But the Ultimate Universe was supposed to be like a modern take on all of them. So, Nick Fury wasn't a white guy that went to the war. He's, the one that we know today, that played by Samuel L. Jackson, right? You have a modern day Iron Man, modern day Spider-Man, and it's all, and the way they go about forming the Avengers, which is labeled as the Ultimates, is pretty much how they did it in the movies, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So going back, Brian Michael Bendis, what he did is that it was just one writer. I mean, it was just him throughout the whole run, and it was a lot of issues. So it's nice to see that it wasn't just 1 or 2 stories. It's, I think, at least 12 volumes that he did. So I suggest you go out and get that. I mean, that's also the line that introduced, Miles Morales in the Spider-Man mythos. So I suggest you guys go out and get that, especially if you like this new movie. If you like the modern take, then go out and pick this book up. So in conclusion, you have Spider Island, you have Blue, you have Kraven's Last Hunt, you have Back in Black, and also Ultimate Spider-Man. These are just a couple stories that I like to share with you guys, and I suggest that you guys should go out and read it if you guys like the movie, if you guys are trying to get into Spider-Man. Down below, what you can do is tell me, have you read these books? What other recommendations do you have? I like to read, so just put down in the comment section what other books, what other Spider-Man books I missed out on. So as always, follow our social media: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Earth2 Comic Cast, and that's with the number 2. Also check out our podcast, where we'll be talking more about, why not do that. So as always, this is Vito. Go for your long box.